Okay, I think we got it.
Oh my goodness, we're live.
I think we are live and groovy this morning. How are you?
Well, good morning to you, New York Vinny. Good
Good
morning
morning
to
to you,
all our
Michael Knight.
loyal viewers, and good morning to those who just fell into this by accident and want some sort of an explanation. Well, we don't
Well,
have one.
yeah, I'm not much for explaining things. Never have been. Couldn't do it in school. Couldn't do it in second grade. Couldn't
Can
do
you
it.
explain to me what's going on with the Epstein files today? It seems to be an increased intensive atmosphere around the cover up, and that the White House is feeling vulnerable for the evil they have done.
Well, they should feel vulnerable for the evil they have done. Um, I can't explain it to you, Michael. I only believe that there's some kind of we're going to attack some. We're going to take over Cuba.
To prevent going into the Epstein files.
Yeah, don't be shocked if by the end of the week we have boots on the ground in Cuba.
Cuban boots, Cuban heels.
No. That would be hard to fight in. Don't you think so?
But good for marching in unison.
Yeah, the British tried the outfitting the army in beetle boots back in the '60s, and I don't know that worked for them.
I see. Yeah, I concur.
I think they came up with a lot of twisted ankles, and they were terrible in the rain. And in the rain, in England, you probably need good rain shoes.
Wellingtons. Yeah. Well,
Something that
Benny, you've visited Cuba. You've been a tourist there. You checked out their baseball, their love for baseball, their love for food, their personalities. What do you think that their reaction will be when Donald Trump declares that he's got to do something about Cuba because he can't do anything about Venezuela, Strait of Hormuz, or the Epstein files?
you forgot. Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, I ran. Well, Michael, it's ten. It's been exactly 10 years since I've been there. Give or take a couple of months. I went there in October of 2016, and it was a much different atmosphere because at the time relations were getting normal. If you remember Obama, matter of fact, we actually thought that they were going to announce a normalization of relationship while we were there. And people were excited. People were, listen, the Cubans, in many ways, see the United States as the big Satan, but also see the United States as their closest friend. It's a very weird relationship.
Sort of the way the Canadians feel about us now, too.
Yeah, it probably in many ways, but at that time, people were really optimistic about a normalization of relationships, money coming into the country because American tourists would be coming down en masse uh, to spend money there. It's a desperately poor country. They
Did
need.
they, did they trade in dollars or pesos?
Well, there's a dual currency system. They don't trade in dollars except on the black market. They have Cuban tourists use cooks, which is a Cuban uh, peso, and then the people that live there trade in uh, another type of Cuban peso. So there's really two official currencies and one black market currency. So,
Thus, you
but
get a poor nation.
as always, money talks and bullshit walks. If you got American cash, you're king. It's a cash and carry nation.
Step right up in your Cuban heels and be served.
The people, the folks there were, I found them to be very friendly. Now, we went there on a trip with a bunch of car people. And so our angle on the trip really was cars. And
the way they restore their
yeah,
cars from the
yeah,
40s,
what they
50s.
do, how they keep the cars running. We visited the Cuban National Automobile Museum, which is basically a garage with some cars parked in it. But you could see the potential of the place, and you could also see a group of people that were sick and tired of being poor. Sick and tired that there were enough people around who were there for the good days that remembered what it was like, and that there was a feeling that if these relations could normalize, that there would be a great relationship between these two countries. People that are there would love nothing more than to come to America, visit their families that are here. I mean, South Florida, New York, Boston, Washington
Heavy Cuban areas.
are all places with big. Jersey City, I think, has more Cubans than Havana, and so I think there was optimism about all of that. And I don't know why. Well, I actually do remember why now. That Obama didn't pull the trigger on normalizing the relationships. And in a way, it was not in a way, it was self-sabotage, I think, really by the Castro administration, which was at the tail end. And they were doing this freaky stuff with these kind of mind control weapons. You remember that? It was going on where
Yes.
they had the weapons with the vibrations that people in the American consulate, I guess it is, not an embassy, were complaining that they were getting all kinds of weird headaches and stuff like that. And I guess our guys found out that the Cubans are actually playing with this stuff through the Russians. And
it was a Russian toy with the Cubans were playing with it.
yeah, and after that, I just remember that everything kind of came to a halt. And of course, when Slapdick got into office, that was it. He wanted wanted no part of Castro's Cuba or anybody's Cuba except his. And it was a shame because I remember I was in the there's a Park Central. It's right in downtown Havana. And it is a place where people gather and talk to each other about things. The older people. There's a section of this park called the Pelota, which is the Cuban word for baseball. And so naturally, I went over. I had a bag of balls with me and some little bats and stuff like that, hats and stuff that I had brought, giant stuff, as a matter of fact. Had some giant stuff, some pirate stuff. I didn't want to insult them by giving them Met stuff. So I started to talk to people. And at first I figured, who these gringos, because it was me and some other guy, and we walked over there and gave out this stuff. And I remember talking to this one guy who I really said and really believed it at the time that if relationships normalize between Cuba and the United States, that within 20 years, you would see a Major League Baseball team in Cuba, in Havana, because by that time the country would have brought itself up. There would be the economic situation would be much better. I could see Cuba becoming another Miami Beach, another place where people go for vacation and to play, and
which is what it was like during the last
in the
glory days
40s
of.
and the 50s, yeah, before Castro took over. It was now it was run by the mafia, but they didn't care who was running the place as long as they were making money, and they had a good standard of living down there. I mean, they had a standard of living that was equal to the United States in many ways. They had new cars. They bought new cars. They bought, they had meat. The sugar cane sugar people were making money. The fruit growers, they had, beautiful plazas. I mean, they had a lot there. It was all run by Frangelico Batista, who was an iron fist dictator. And the revolutionaries, of course, didn't want that. Che Guevara and Fidel Castro, wanted it to be a communist nation where everything was controlled by the people.
And they got their wish, but I don't know what the control was like.
I don't think it worked for them. I mean, obviously, if they could go back in time, I think they might have gotten rid of Batista, but it wouldn't have been Castro. Now, if Castro would have gone in there and become a somewhat liberal, like a Czechoslovakia or something like that, something where they didn't control as much as but they wanted to be a satellite nation for the Soviet Union because the Soviet Union was paying their bills. They were building ugly apartment buildings. They were, and the idea that they had wasn't bad. The idea is that you the doctors and the educated people, they were all kind of one. So doctors, medical care was for everybody. Education was made a priority. I mean, kids in Cuba, when they go to school in uniform. As poor as they are, they go to school in uniforms. But once the Soviet Union broke up, the party was over.
Was there a lot of oppression? Did they feel exposed?
I didn't feel any.
Good.
I mean, I didn't. It didn't seem to me like people were walking around afraid of the cops. As a matter of fact, the cops were standing. A cop was standing on the corner. I started talking to him. People were talking to him. It wasn't like, like sometimes you see countries that are dictator regimes and nobody talks to the cops and everybody. Now, I don't know what was happening in the neighborhoods.
Right.
But that might have been different. But I got out into the neighborhoods and it didn't seem oppressive. Now it might have been. And the one thing that really soured me on Cuba a lot, but yet I realized that, you have to look past situations sometimes, is they had a couple of, they were harboring a couple of really serious criminals from the United States. One woman who killed a cop, and they offered them asylum. I think for more of a get back at the United States thing, and they believe you should be cop killers. Yeah. Matter of fact, I forget the woman's name, but she's still living there. She killed a cop in 1975, I think, or no, maybe it was a little later than that. But she killed a New York City cop, and so I had a problem with that. But I also realized that it's this government. It's governments that can't agree. The people love Americans. I mean, because most of them have cousins or uncles or sisters or brothers that got out. And they really seem to be hardworking people. happy for their situation, people. And I remember one of the things that impressed me. Well, many things impressed me, but one of the things that impressed me is you didn't feel walking anywhere at night. Like you came out of your hotel, you weren't walking down the street. You didn't worry that somebody was going to come up to you with a gun and blow your brains out for $5. I mean, if you were stupid, you were walking around with cash sticking out of your pockets, you might have had a problem. But if if you just acted normal, I think the cops kept an eye on that because they realized how precious the money was coming in from the tourist business. Now, as far as the people, you want to talk about people that are industrious. I mean, these are people that have cars from the 1940s and 50s that still run.
Don't
They
ask me what.
make the parts. They can't get the parts for them. When you go to the Miami airport and you get on a plane and you're at the baggage day in the customs where they're looking, you see people with auto parts in their bags. 2 or 3 bags full of auto parts so that they can keep things running.
You need a water pump for a 1950 Pontiac.
Yeah, yeah. Or they make the parts. It's probably the land of backyard mechanics. It's a place where, and we saw this a couple of times in a couple of places that we visited. We did this thing where we hooked up with this. It was like this car club that was hosting us. And we had one day where we came out and met this car club in a cemetery. There's this famous cemetery. I don't remember the name of it there. And there's all of these, Cuban figures are buried there. It's like our Arlington National Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a day, we had a picnic in the cemetery. All the crypts are there and everything. And it was really kind of cool. And all these people brought out their hot rod, all these beautiful 57 Pontiacs and 58 Chevys and everything up until it's like the world died in 1959. And so coming back from this thing, we're riding in this guy's car, and I said, just for the hell of it, I've been thinking about this, and if anybody's going to know, you'll know. You happen to know where there's any Corvettes? And the guy goes, oh, yeah. There's supposedly 5 Corvettes on the island of Cuba. Castro has one of them, and there's 4 other around. So I said, well, any chance that you could tell me where they are? And I'd love to go see one. So he says, oh, yeah. Come on, let's take these people back. And so we took the group back, and then me, my friend Brenda Pretty, who's a automotive photographer, Ken Gross, who is Terry Gross's brother from Fresh Air, was on the trip. He writes about cars. And this guy took us to this guy's apartment on the Malecon, who had one of the Corvettes. And he came downstairs. It's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He's cooking dinner. We go up to the apartment, had a beautiful view of the fort in Havana and the harbor and everything. He says, oh, yeah, I'd love to show my Corvette. Gets his sandals on, takes us downstairs, and we go in the garage, and he unlocks 4 or 5 locks on the garage door. Wow. I says, oh, it is like America here. And shows us his Corvette. He had a 57 Corvette that was in really nice shape. Probably a 2. And I said, boy, you know where any others? Yeah, supposed to be 4 on the. He says, oh yeah, I know where there's 2 more. Get back in the cars, and we go over to Revolution Square, where they always take pictures of the rallies that happen there, and they got the big pictures of Che Guevara and Fidel Castro and everything on the sides of the buildings.
Yes.
It's like the federal thing. It's the Federal Plaza. And right in the shadow of Che Guevara's eyes is this guy with this garage, and he's got a Corvette in there. And although he's got the original, his was a 54.
Wow.
And the engine was blown. He had the engine sitting on the floor in the side of his garage. And as a matter of fact, you know what? While I'm doing this, I'll call it up. I'll see if I can find it real quick. He had an Isuzu diesel engine in the Corvette, a 6-cylinder diesel. And that's what's powering his Corvette. And it was great. It was really it was stunning. Now I'm going to see if I can do this. I think I should be able to.
But to fix the blown engine, there was no way to machine the head.
Well, yeah, you could. Yeah, it was definitely possible to do. It's just that you had a. I don't know if they had the ability to. Wait, hang on. I don't know if they had the ability to do it, or the money, or whatever it took to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was again, it was stunning. And the guy says, well, if you have time, I can take you out to some village in the country where, he says, I know there's another Corvette. So it turned into this this soiree, if you will,
mm-hmm.
of driving all over the place to go look at these Corvettes.
And they were old collector's items.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's one thing. When things get normalized between the United States and Cuba, there's going to be a mass exodus of people going down there to buy collector cars.
Yeah.
Now, most of them are in pretty crappy shape. Well, no, let me take that back. Most of them need major rebuilding. But with what cars are going for today,
Makes
it wouldn't.
sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard to do that. So it was, it was an experience. It was really one of the thrilling experiences of my life, to be able to go and to witness this, and to see it, and to experience and talk to the people that did all of this stuff, that keep these cars running, that keep this sport alive. The hobby, I should say. And the ingenuity of the people who were doing this was unbelievable. And again, doing it with nothing. making the parts.
Whatever was available, whatever diesel engine happened to be laying about.
Right. And taking two engines, learning how to make an engine run on 4 cylinders instead of 6. All right, I had this queued up. Let's see if I can let's see, do the screen share. And I think you'll get a kick out of this. Let's see. Share the screen. Ta-ta. Ta-ta. I think this is it. Okay, let's see if I can. Now, can you hear that and see it?
No, neither.
Michael?
I can't hear it and I can't see it.
Okay. Now?
I can sort of hear it. I can't see anything.
All right. Let's see. Share this tab instead. How about now?
Yeah, turn it up, please.
Okay.
I said, I'm going on an adventure. I'm going to find one of the Corvettes.
The sound in the beginning is a little.
Not many. There's only 5. But I knew that my trip to Cuba would not be complete unless I found one of them. Well, want the adventure? No. The streets of Havana, Cuba are like a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week living, breathing, and rolling car show. It is a place stuck in an automotive 1959. That's the year Fidel Castro took over and the USA imposed an embargo to stop the sale of new American cars. So the streets are filled with nameplates from the past like Firefly, Star Chief, Hornet, Biscayne, Bel Air, Galaxy, Rambler, and other names long gone from American streets. Now, one nameplate that you don't see out on the street is Corvette. In all of the pictures of Cuba that I had ever seen, I'd never seen one. So I knew my trip would not be complete unless I saw at least one Corvette.
Now this is riding through the neighborhood in Havana. And look at the inside of this car. This is a 55 Chevy.
My new hot rodder friend Luis had a line on a Corvette, so we took off through the streets of Havana in search of the lost Corvette, which we may have found. Then, in a garage just off the Malecon, Luis came through. A red 1958 Vet in pretty good condition, if not too original.
Now this has the original engine in it. Well, I don't know if it's the original engine, but it has the Chevy V8 in it. And all of this stuff is built. He's maintained this. There's my stomach. He's maintained this thing. The interesting thing was the seats. Definitely not the original seats. And the car's been painted a few times and so on and so forth. But, I mean, that'd be a $25,000, $30,000 car here, easy.
Sure, it would.
And then, of course, paying to get it shipped over and everything. And
then, as we thought we would be heading back to the hotel, Louis sprang it on us. He knew where there was another one, a 1954 Corvette, a rare black one. dinner was going to have to wait as we headed off to a garage just off of Revolutionary Square.
Ojos negros, piel canela, que me llegan a desesperar.
Here we are.
Yeah, that thing is, that's not the original color because all the 54 Corvettes are in white. But,
It was dusty, and the original engine had been replaced with another 6 that didn't quite fit, but it was all in all, for a 60-year-old car, in pretty good shape, and easily the barn find of the day.
Now look over the top. He's got it's like an Isuzu diesel in there. The motor doesn't fit in the car. You can't put the hood on the car.
Wow. Great design.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's again, that's probably easy $75,000, $80,000 car in the shape it's in, because you put that car together. See, now right there, you can see the I think that's it, the original Blue Flame 6 sitting on the floor. And it's just amazing. So the industriousness of the people got a different steering column in this, and look, he's got the directional signal. He's got the old truck style. The signal broke, so they had to put a different directional signal handle in there. He's got the hard top sitting there. That hard top is worth $20,000.
Beautiful.
And so 2 Corvettes in one day, 2 out of the reported 5 vets on the island. For a classic car guy like me and someone who has loved Corvettes since I was 9 years old, it was a very good Cuban afternoon. Thanks a lot, Luis.
Good job, Ben.
Wait, let me get rid of this. Rid of that. Go back to us. So that's a look at Cuba, and the impressive part again is the industriousness of the people. Then I got other stuff. I filmed, but I took it to a baseball game. I did drive through Cuba in a couple of cities that I went to, because I went to 4 cities. It was interesting to go to the Bay of Pigs Museum and see it from their side.
Right.
Definitely, they have definitely a different version of the Bay of Pigs than we do.
Were there any pigs there?
No. Well, you know what? Outside the downtown, I think there was. We were coming into the town. It's farmland just outside of the town, so there probably was some pigs around.
Sure. And
it's in Giron, which is pigs. So yeah, there were probably some pigs around. So anyway, a very long answer to your question. I only hope for good things for the Cuban people. They've suffered so much. They've been oppressed so much. They've been shit on by the U.S. government at every turn that they possibly can be since the Spanish-American War. It's such a stunningly beautiful place. It's in disrepair, and the whole country needs a makeover.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you stand in front of their Capitol. Their Capitol is an exact copy of our Capitol building. It just, it's in 7/8 scale. Because I guess people in Cuba are shorter or something. I don't know. But it's and they love Americans, and that's the thing that makes me worry is that Trump is going to go in there and he's going to do something,
Terrible.
you know, to change the composition of the country for the worse. And
Because that's his nature. That would be the
that's
result
just
of
it.
any of his actions. Always for the worst.
Anything he touches.
Right.
And I remember the reason I went to Cuba when I did 10 years ago is because with relations normalizing as they were, and this was under Obama, people I know, Cubans I know, said, go now. Because once relationships normalize with the United States, they're going to start knocking buildings down. They're going to start changing things. It's going to, the tourist business is going to increase. You're going to see more money there. And the complexity, the simple life of the country is going to change. It's going to, they want to become more American. So you won't have the things, every night when you go to like the small towns. We were in Cienfuegos. And at night, people go down to the square in town, and musicians and artists come out, paid for by the government, and they play music and they dance and they get together. They have this town square. They don't. Obviously, again, the internet has reached Cuba like everywhere else. So I don't know how it is for the younger kids, but for the older people our age and in their 40s and 50s, that's still a tradition. It's funny. I was talking to somebody last night about this, and it's strangely similar to when we were kids in New York, and you used to go down to the candy store in the evening after dinner and hang out with people and your
just
friends
to see what was going on.
Yeah, and that's how you socialized. And that's how you made friends. And that's how you knew what was going on in the neighborhood. And then the paper would come up, and everybody would go home and take the paper to their pops or whatever. And it was just it was a form of socialization that we won't have. The kids today won't have. Kids in the future are not going to know that because once they get, and they have internet there, they can get the internet. They have American TV. Miami Vice is big, so you can, it's going to change in Cuba, and I just hope that when Trump goes in, if he does, if this is actual something that he's talked about it a bunch of times now. So if this is something that he's going to do, that somehow cooler heads prevail. He doesn't put some guy like Bill Pulte in charge of it, building ranch houses, over dead bodies, and that he leaves it to have some of the character, so it doesn't lose its charm, so that people can go there and see how it was. Every night they have a in this they have a you go over to there's I forget the fort, but Cuba Havana is a harbor, and you go in, and this one piece of land goes around, and there's a fort on the end of that kind of isthmus that comes out, and every night they have a changing of the guard. I think it's at 9 o'clock. So you get on a bus, or you can drive over, bicycle over, walk over to hike. But you go over there, and the parking lot is crowded, and all these people gather, and they watch this changing of the guard. And after they change the guards at this sacred site in Cuba, this fort, that watches over Havana Harbor. They have they have a huge ceremony, fireworks, and you can tell when it's, I forget, 9 o'clock, 9:30, whatever it is, because they eat late there, as most Spanish and European countries do. Um, and it's like the ceremony, and it's not a tourist ceremony as much as it is a ceremony of reverence for people who have died in the Cuban cause and so on and so forth. It's very picturesque. It's reverential. Um, so I hope that I wish the best for him, man. I'd love to go back. I'd love to. I would love to take a trip back there. I would love to put a trip together when things kind of get straightened out and take a group of people down. Lorraine's been to Cuba too. Our friend Lorraine has been there a couple of times.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's been there a couple of times, and it's just it's a beautiful place with spirited people who have made do with nothing, with absolutely nothing, and they care about it, but they just realize it as is in many communist countries. What can we do? They got the guns. We don't even have the butter. So,
well, I can't hope with very much assuredness that Trump will do anything that would be considered an improvement. If you hate life the way it is now under the remnants of the Castro brothers, wait till Donald Trump lends his hand to that, and then you'll really see how bad things can get.
Well, except that their situation is so dire that as long as they, you would probably. I mean, what can they take away from the Cubans that they haven't already? There's no freedom.
Water, food security.
Well, they don't have that now. What do they have now? They're standing online for bread. Their security is, I don't know, it's not too secure.
Not enough to keep Trump out.
Well, yeah. They have. I mean, they don't have an army. I don't know if they have an army anymore. They have a police force. But their situation is so bad, Michael, that anything is an improvement for them. And I mean, I hate to say, I'm listen, I'm at least, I'm torn because I want to see their lot improve. I don't particularly want to see Donald Trump improve it, but if he's got an idea and he can do something to help them people have lights on in their house 24 hours a day or food on their table, I don't know.
I don't think you can count on him for that.
Well, you'd have to do something. You'd have to help the people somehow. I don't think you could just walk in and, of course, they got nothing to take. There's nothing left to steal. They stole it all already.
Yeah, long ago.
Yeah, it's all been stolen. But again, at least when Castro was around, when Fidel was around, they had some basic things. They had electricity, they had baseball, they had food, they had water. But all of that stuff is gone. I mean, the generators, the water purification systems are there's
Right,
no
exactly.
parts for them. They can't purify their water.
Right.
So they have disease. They say that it's going to turn into a major health crisis at some point. So you have to, I just, listen. I'm no fan of Donald Trump. But if the United States could go in there and do something for that country and get those people at least fed and get them educated and get them on a path towards something that's better than what they have now, which wouldn't be hard. You'd have to, and listen, this has happened before to them. This has happened under Obama. This has happened under, I think it was, there was one point, I think Kennedy was going to normalize relationships with them. But it just never, it never materialized. So, what I don't like is I don't like the idea of Trump going in and saying, "Well, I'm here now, so we're gonna run this thing."
Give me all your shortstops. I'll take all the shortstops, and then we'll be back later for the rest of you guys.
Right. We'll take the cars and the players, and then we'll come back and get you. We promise. Just hang out at the airport. That's the story with Cuba. I think.
What about ball players? Can ball players come through?
Yeah, ball players can get out of the town. There was one time I remember years ago where they were talking about letting major league teams buy ball players. That they could pay a couple of $1 million and get a ball player out of Cuba.
And the money went to the government?
And the money went to the government. And there was a lot of controversy about it. Because it was, in essence, trading in, trafficking.
Right. Except
they weren't, they were using them as ball players instead of prostitutes or something like that. See, that's the one thing that I worry about too, is that if this thing goes the way I think it's going to go, or we're going to have a return down there to prostitution and that, I mean, they're pretty tough on prostitution and drugs. You don't want to get caught with drugs in Cuba. Any kind. There's, I think it's, I forget what they may have softened it, but I know it was something like a 10-year mandatory sentence for like a joint.
Mm-hmm.
Because Castro believed that to be a great evil. Maybe he was right. I don't know. But he wanted to keep it out of his country. And from what I understand, he's did a fairly good job at it. But, that's going to change too. People want what they want, right?
That's right.
So the only way you're going to, and if you're sitting around and you got nothing, and you can grow a little weed in your backyard and keep it hidden so that the policia don't see it, who knows? But it's it's really a fascinating country to me, and I hope I get to go back. I hope to. Really, what I'd love to do is go back and hunt down cars and send them.
See how those Corvettes are doing.
Yeah, send them back. The only thing about that, though, is part of the charm of this country is that because you go there and you see all of these old cars, it really is like you walk back into 1959.
Right.
So I'd love to see, a system where they kept the cars there and just were able to rebuild them and keep them in Havana and in those cities. You can't buy a car.
There's no Cuban-made car.
No, mostly you see Kias and Hyundais and Renaults.
Russian cars.
No, French. And Fiats. But it takes about 6 years of a Cuban's earnings when things were good to be able to afford a car. Then if you can afford a car, you have to get on a list. And the only way you get a car if you're on the list is you have to buy it from the state. And the state sells their used vehicles. So in essence, the Cuba is their biggest car dealer. Now, I'm pretty sure, and I'm really surprised this hasn't happened yet, that the Chinese are going to go in there and build a factory.
Change the market totally.
And they'll be welcomed with open arms. And then we'll have, a Chinese outpost 90 miles from Miami. See, that's why it's important for Trump not to screw this up if he does it. Because
that's a terrible position for him to be in because he can't help but screw it up.
Yeah. I mean, because you can't, the Chinese are ready to go. They're ready to put plants in Canada. They're ready to put plants. They have plants in Mexico already. And they're ready to go. And Cuba is a fertile territory for them. Of course, they could go in there and they could spread money around, build some factories, give people jobs. And who are the people in Cuba going to love?
Right.
You love who feeds you. You might have cousins in the United States, but you're going to love who feeds you. And right now, nobody's feeding the Cubans. And I can see that coming down the pike. And that's why I think it's important if we do something, if the United States does so. First of all, we can't invade the country. What we need to do is we need to say to them, listen, we want to form a partnership with you. But the other thing is, and again, it goes back to Trump, he isn't exactly loved in Puerto Rico, and they're part of the United States. Because they're brown people. And he doesn't like brown people.
And he gave them paper towels during their hurricane recovery.
That piece of shit.
See, it's not a happy ending.
Yeah.
It simply is not.
Yeah, you see, and this is the thing that, we're over screwing around in Iran. And we should be helping these people out. We should be saying to them, we want you as our neighbor. We want you as our friend.
Right.
We want you, the same thing with the Venezuelans. We should be saying to them, we want you as our neighbor, as our friend. Get your act together, form your oil company, and you keep the money and you rebuild your country. But instead, we're giving away oil to that we don't even own. not our oil. So it's it's a mess. I just hope that it works out somehow. God keeps an eye on these people and helps them through a time, because it's, not only are they a tough people composition wise, they're a beautiful people, Michael. There's these mixed races, these beautiful, I mean, just handsome, beautiful people. I mean, I don't know who's got the genes down there, but they got them. And there's just you see, just these gorgeous people, and I don't know.
That was a good report on Cuba, Vinnie.
Thanks. It was, it's funny. I've been meaning for years to go back and find the video and redo that, because I did that when I first started doing video. I had really no idea what I was doing, but I wanted to do a, memorialize that trip and the cars and everything.
Right.
And so one of these days, I'm going to find the video. I got a box with all of these, cards in it, flashcards, whatever you call them. I want to go find the video and redo that, rewrite it and redo it, so it's a better report. Just a bit more the audio levels fixed up and everything. So thank you. Yeah, I was very, very, very proud of that when I did it. I didn't know what I was doing when I produced it, but it got produced.
It's a good hint. It's a good way to proceed. If you find yourself where you don't know what you're doing, keep going.
Just keep going. Eventually, somebody's going to tell you what to do. Somebody's going to help you. You'll figure it out somehow. Video was so new to me then. 10 years ago. I mean, I had cameras. I had that, what did they call that camera? With you just pointed it and shoot it. It was like that simple video camera that looked like a pack of cigarettes. And
I know what you mean.
Yeah, just shot it. And, it wasn't shot on a phone. It was just shot with that simple camera. And I got, I hope that, not that my skills are a lot better these days, but at least I know how to get the levels right.
I think they might be better.
What else is going on?
I got this feeling that there's something going on with the Epstein files, but I don't know how the Trump guys are going to juggle it to protect the big guy and themselves from prosecution and accusations. But I could be wrong about that. It seemed as if that the New York Times has an exclusive story on the madhouse that has become the White House in their effort to keep the Epstein files secret.
How do you work in that place? How do you just work in that White House unless you're just a piece of shit like
They don't care. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about the result. They care about pleasing the prince, pleasing the Führer, pleasing the great leader. And if he's displeased, it's going to come off. It's a very unfortunate day for you.
Well, we have 4,400 new millionaires today.
That's
SpaceX.
Paid their dividends.
Well, they're going public, so that'll be nice. Did you see the astronaut stuff yesterday? They named the crew for the next. I love that stuff, man. I know it's people can say, well, it's a waste of money and this and that, and the point is though is that, and in some ways I like this because it takes a lot of it out of the government's hands and puts it in a privatization. Now, of course, you always got to be careful with that stuff, but
especially when you're making deals with Leon.
yeah, and there's, I don't know. Oh, yeah, well, here's what's going on. Also, I meant to bring this up at the beginning of the show. It looks like Iran is shooting again. Yesterday, Trump was talking about peace is coming to, they're going to get the troops out of there. And today, let's see, the United States struck Iran this morning in response to the downing of that U.S. helicopter that, thank God, the service people got out all right. Israel is striking Lebanon.
Of course.
Jordan has intercepted 5 missiles launched from Iran. Kuwait has intercepted missiles from Iran. Bahrain said it intercepted several Iranian drones and missiles. And Iran said it is retaliated by attacking U.S. assets. Why are not the Arabs taking care of this?
It's not their nature. It's never going to happen. Plus, the Saudis don't trust anybody except themselves. They have fragile relations with all the other countries. They don't play well. They don't use their money to enrich the area. They play only to enrich themselves. Leaving Jordan and Bahrain and Qatar and Oman and Yemen and all the smaller players victims of the whims of the powers in the region.
Is the
there's always been.
Is the electric company in Qatar called Electric Qatar?
Should be. And they have caves where you can hear acoustic guitar.
There you go. Yeah, this is
what a ceasefire looks like with Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's insane. Now, Bill Gates
this all happening just 2 days after he told Bibi Netanyahu not to respond. Don't fire back.
Trump is nuts.
Let me fire back. Yeah, he's quite mad.
He's fucking nuts, man. This just. I mean, and the crazy thing is, I have people that still stand up for him.
Oh God, yes.
I got a guy that sends me 10 freaking things a day about how good Trump is.
The best ever.
Bill Gates. Oh yeah, this I thought this was interesting too. Speaking about the Epstein. See, this is the guy that's going to blow this Epstein thing open. Bill Gates is or somebody like that is the one that's going to just stand up and say, "Hey, I saw Trump fucking 10-year-olds in on Epstein Island." He's just going to piss somebody. Musk came closest to it. What was it last year when he started opening his mouth, and all of a sudden he shut up.
You talk about who was on the list.
Yeah, but it's going to wind up being Gates that's going to open up his mouth and say,
I saw it.
I saw him. Because, see, Musk is incredible. I mean, you'd get a lot. It'd be hard to get somebody to believe Musk. But Gates is great. Gates is he's a credible guy. He's a guy that people are going to believe things about him and what he says because he's backed up his stuff. Yeah, he had extramarital affairs. He was on Epstein Island. He was one of the people participating.
Yeah.
But he still has a lot of cred. There was another thing I wanted to say, because I know we're running up against it now. We've talked about Cuba. We've talked about a million other things. I'm just so excited to see the watch parties in New York. We didn't have anything like that when I was a kid. The last time the Knicks were good. You know, when I was going 69, 73, we didn't have watch parties. You know, you went home and you watched it in your living room.
Right.
But these great watch parties, these neighborhood gatherings where people are getting together in parks. Did you see the Sheep Meadow? Was it Sheep Meadow the other night, Central Park? That's something like 50,000 people there. In Astoria, my old neighborhood. They're showing the game on sides of buildings. I mean, I guess it's the equivalent of 1955 in the Brooklyn Dodgers. You know, when you heard the game coming out of radios and everything. But it's just so cool, I think, to see that.
Brings the excitement right to your neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many different ethnic groups in New York that, you know, if you go to Jackson Heights, you're watching like 5,000 Indians and Bangladeshis and they're all watching. And, you know, you go to downtown and there's, you know, a block full of Italian people. I mean, it's all in it's the most united I've seen New York since 9/11. And it's for a good thing.
That Brunson, just amazing. I'm fascinated by his play. He's so stubborn.
Yeah. I'm just glad to see it. I'm glad to see people in New York City getting together. I'm glad to see people getting together anywhere, but I'm glad to see people in New York City that are getting together not because somebody got shot, not because somebody got killed, not because somebody ripped somebody off, not because somebody's rioting, but because they're excited that their ball team is a team that's been a loser for so many years has caught the imagination and lit a fire under this city.
Now they just got to win a few games.
Well, they got to win 2 games. Not going to be easy. Anybody that thought that they were going to go in there and win, you know, just sweep the Spurs, don't know the Spurs.
You didn't see Wimby playing during the year because Wimby is a remarkable player who somehow is so huge that he can play the game differently than anybody around him.
Yeah,
you can't emulate him because unless you're 7'4", you can't even begin to try to copy him.
Yeah, I was painfully aware of that, and it's crazy. You know, it's just really it's really stunning. You know, I guess the coolest thing for me is that the Knicks wear the same colors as the Mets.
Yeah.
So I can wear my orange sneakers that I have on today.
Be right kind in style.
Feel a little Nicky about it.
Yeah.
You know, feel like, but it's just so cool to see people, you know, from my past on Facebook and so on and so forth. Old people, young people, just excited.
Then you remind our viewers what a Knickerbocker is.
It's a little guy, Irish little guy.
Wasn't he Dutch?
Yeah, maybe he was Dutch. Yeah, I always thought it was Irish, but I think it is Dutch. You're right. I have on my Facebook page. I have a Knickerbocker sitting up on top of the page. One of the symbols, but it's it's excuse me. I just think it's I'm really just taken by all of this. And you know what's interesting?
Tell me.
That it's kind of knocked the World Cup
Oh yeah.
totally off the front page in New York. I mean, the World Cup gets going this, what is it, Friday or something? And I don't know how many people are paying attention to it, to be honest with you.
I think we're all quoting Yogi Berra, who said, "Include me out."
Yeah, I think it's I think it's interesting. So we're going to get a game here with Iran and Egypt. So that ought to be interesting.
If the ICE officers can leave the officials and the players alone, so they can actually play the games.
Well, there's big concern about ICE, because there's a lot of players and team officials that think that that ICE is going to pull something and detain people.
Mm-hmm. Like the referees from Somalia.
Not so much players, but fans that go to the games. Using facial recognition stuff. This is terrible. It really is. Absolutely. It's absolutely terrible.
Shall we gather over the ruins on Friday?
Yeah, we can do our big Welcome World Cup show.
Welcome to America. It ain't like you thought.
Or as our vice president said, come for the games, enjoy the games, then go the fuck home.
Get the hell out.
How's that for a wonderful greeting?
That's as nice and as homely as J.D. Vance is going to get.
That's the hillbilly. That's the hillbilly in him.
Yeah.
That's your hillbilly effigy there, or elegy, or whatever the hell it is.
He's a Hill William.
He's it's funny. I stupidly watched 90 Day Fiancé.
It's very sad, Vinnie.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And one of the couples on this year's edition of the 90 Day Fiancé is a guy from Turkey and an out of the book. I mean, out of the book. Alabama. I don't even know how to describe her. Just the drinking and the America. This is. So she brings this guy home to Alabama. Her friend shows up, and he's from Turkey. Her friend shows up in a red, white, and blue dress. And written on the side of her car, with two American flags draped on it, is America 2-0 in world wars.
Accurate, but misleading.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of interesting that, but and then.
And the guy from Turkey just wants a girlfriend, so he doesn't care.
Well, he's in love with this chick, but she's a pig. She's everything you think a southern pig would be.
Is she a Bay of Pigs?
She might be a Bay of Pigs. When she pisses, she probably is. I mean, she's disgusting. I don't know how else to say it. Well, what do we do? What do we do down here? Well, we drank. And if you ain't with us, you again us.
Have a drink.
Have a drink. And now, and I thought it was crazy because the guy's a Muslim,
He ain't gonna drink.
but they got him to drink.
That's not gonna be pretty.
So that now they screwed this guy's life up for this TV show. I can't figure out why I watch it. It's like watching a car accident.
More like a train wreck.
Yeah, it's like it's 9:00 on Sunday night. Turn on the TV, and you can see this head-on collision where people will be going through the windshield.
That's entertainment.
It's what passes for it these days. All right, man. Let's get together Friday.
Friday it shall be. We'll meet at 10:10.
Interesting show today, man.
Yeah. I didn't know what I was getting into when I asked you to tell me about Cuba.
Well,
But I had a feeling it was going to be a pretty good story.
We one thing about us, Michael, you and I, is you can say to us, do 10 minutes on anything, and we'll do a half hour on it.
And remember, you have to say anything. It helps if you give us. It helps if you give us a subject. But if you don't have a subject, 10 minutes on anything coming right up.
10 minutes on anything, and guarantee it'll be no less than a half hour.
Good half hour.
All right, brother. See you on Friday.
Vinnie. Friday it shall be.
If the Lord's willing, the creek don't rise, man.
What a wine, what a wine, what a wine.
See you, Michael. Thank you all for listening. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye now.